Hello everyone. In this lesson, I'll teach you about subject-verb agreement. So let's get started. What is subject-verb agreement? It means that the subject and the verb of a sentence must be in their correct forms. And thereby we reach to the basic rule of subject-verb agreement, that is, when the subject is singular, we will use singular form of verb, and when the subject is plural, we will use a plural form of verb. So if you look at the sentence, number one, he walks to school. So here, he is the singular subject, and therefore we have used the singular form of verb walks with an S, right? Look at the other sentence that is corresponding to this one. They walk to school. Now, they here is the plural subject, and hence we have used the plural form of verb without an S. Right? So, he walks to school, they walk to school. Similarly, she speaks Spanish, they speak Spanish. He lives in Goa, they live in Goa. He eats mangoes, they eat mangoes. He has a big house, they have a big house. So here we have used the singular form of verbs, and here we have used the plural form of verbs because the subject was plural. Now look at this table. Here, when we are using the singular pronouns, he, she, it, we are using the singular verb forms, right? With an S. Walks, speaks, lives, eats, has. However, when we are using the plural pronouns as we and they, then we are not using the S. That is, we are using the plural form of verb. Walk, speak, live, eat, have. You might be wondering now, what about I and you? I always is about the singular, right? You may be singular or plural depending upon the context. So I and you always function as the plural forms, and hence we will use the plural verb forms along with I and you. Look at the sentence. I read the newspaper every morning. Here we haven't used reads, right? We have used I read the newspaper. Reads will be wrong. You make good tea. Again, with you we are using the plural verb. Now we'll move on to few rules relating to subject-verb agreement. Okay, so rule number one, when two or more subjects, they are joined by and, then we will use the plural verb. Why? Because now it will be acting as a plural subject. So Geeta and Sita now are two people, right? So that is why it becomes a plural subject, and hence we are using are as the plural verb. Ram and Rahim are friends. Now coming over to the next rule, when two singular subjects, each carrying article the, are joined together by conjunction and, the sentence carries a plural verb. So when the two singular subjects are there, for example, look at the sentence, the actor and the director. So the is placed before each subject, right? This is subject one, this is subject two. That means we are talking about two different people. So now it will become plural subject, and hence we will use the plural form of verb were. Now coming over to the next rule, you will be able to appreciate the second more than. Look at the sentence directly. The actor and director of the music was awarded. So here, director, the is missing here, right? That means the actor and director is one single person. So that is why it will now act as a singular subject, and hence we will use the singular form of verb. And therefore we have used was and not were. Understood? Okay. Next. So when two subjects are joined by as well as, with, in addition to, etc., the verb will agree with the first subject. Look at the example here. The politicians along with the newsman are expected shortly. So is this the correct one or the wrong one? It's the correct one. Why? Because here the subject one, politician, is plural, right? And hence we have to use the plural form of verb. For subject to here, we do not even need to consider subject to. Why? Because we have to only consider for subject here, and therefore we can totally avoid looking at subject to. All right? Okay. Next, whenever a sentence is having each, everyone, everybody, many are, someone, anybody, neither, either, you will always use the singular form of verb. So look at the example. Everyone is invited to the party. So very easy because everyone is there. That's why we are using the singular form of the verb. Look at the other example. Neither of them is going to attend the wedding. Again, the same thing. Neither is there, and that's why we are using the singular form of verb. Okay, coming over to the next one. This is an interesting one. When the conjunctions such as either or, neither nor, not only but also are used, then what you will do? You will have to see the structure of the sentence. For example, look at the sentence, either the master or the servant is to be blamed for the robbery. So here subject 1, the master, and subject 2, the servant. Both are singular. So if both are singular, you will use the singular form of verb. Easy, right? Similarly, if there are two plural nouns, then you will use the plural form of verb. Neither the computers nor the fax machines need repair. But when one is singular and one is plural, then how you will decide? You will have to decide depending on the closeness of the subject to the verb. So here, subject 1 is your flower plants and subject 2 is your grass. Now subject 2 is singular here, right? And this verb is closest to subject 2, nearer to subject 2. Hence we have to consider subject 2, and therefore we are using the singular form of verb. I hope it makes sense to you. Okay. Now, again an easy one. Quantity, amount, distance, all these things, whenever there is the mention of any quantity, amount or distance, you will always use the singular form of verb. So 3 kilometers was a long distance. $10 is a high price, right? Okay. Now look at this one. When the sentences are beginning with here or there, then the true subject follows the verb. So how you will identify the subject? It will be coming after the verb. So for example, in this case, there are 4 hurdles to jump. So these 4 hurdles is your subject, which is plural in nature, and that is why we are using the plural form of verb. Look at this one. Here are the keys. Again, the keys is the plural one. Therefore, we are using the plural form of verb. I hope I'm making sense to you. Okay. Look at the next one. If there are nouns such as trousers, scissors, shoes, etc., then you will always consider it as the plural, and hence you will take the plural verbs. Now look at the sentence. Scissors were kept there. So scissors, although it's singular in meaning, but it is plural in form, and hence we are using the plural form of verb, which is were. Similarly, these shorts were brought from the new market. Okay, coming over to the next one. Okay. Whenever the phrase a pair of is used, then the subject will always be considered as singular and not plural. So for example, these days a pair of spectacles costs you a lot. So why we have used the singular form? Because we are using here a pair of spectacles, right? Okay. Coming over to the next one, collective nouns, for example, jury, committee, team, etc. They can take singular or plural forms depending on the context we are talking about, right? So look at this sentence, you will be able to appreciate this. The jury has unanimously decided to punish the criminal. So unanimously means collectively. It's a collective decision. So the jury has collectively decided to punish the criminal. So there's one decision, right? One decision is there. Therefore, we will use the singular verb here because this jury is acting as one team or one committee, right? Therefore, singular form of the verb will be used, has. However, if you look at this sentence, the committee have divided opinions over the matter. Now, this is divided. The committee is not coming over to a unanimous decision. They are not acting as a combined unit. And hence, we will consider this committee as the plural noun, and hence we will use the plural form of verb have. Right? Okay. Coming over to the last rule, few plural nouns. For example, people, teeth, children, feet, phenomena. All these, although do not end in s or es, however, they are considered as the plural verb, right? So, for example, children is the plural form of child, right? Isn't it? So, even police is always considered as a plural form. So, police have finally nabbed the absconding robbers. So, this police is there. That's why we are using plural form of verb. People have gathered in huge number to listen to the chief minister's speech. Okay, now let's take a few sentences and you can guess the answers. So number one, Richard and his cousins visit or visits each other often. So now rule number one, and is there. So the subject will now become the plural one. So you will use the plural form of verb. Visit will be the correct answer. Second, neither the grandparents nor his brother is or are alive. Now for this is your subject one, this is your subject two, right? So which subject you will consider? You will consider the subject that is closest to the verb, right? And closest to the verb is this one. So therefore answer will be is alive, right? Neither the grandparents nor his brother is alive. Okay, next. Everyone is or are asked to bring his or her official documents. So now everyone is there, easy one. Is will be the right answer. Now, fourth, Gulliver's Travels is or are one of the Jonathan Swift's best creation. Is or are? Is. Why? Because this is the name of a book, Gulliver's Travels. So we are not talking about plural here. We are talking about this single book, Gulliver's Travels, right? So that is why we will use is. Coming over to the last one, an interesting one. The list of items is or are on the desk. So yeah, so now you may get confused whether you have to use are or is, but the answer here is. I'll let you know why, because we're talking about the list of items, not items. Items is not considered here. It is the list we are talking about, right? So the list is the singular noun, right? And that is why we will use is as the answer, which is singular form of verb, right? I hope I have been able to make you understand the topic. Thank you.